Hey everybody, welcome to our December edition of Adapt Chat. Happy to be here with you. Of course, my counterpart Megan Corcoran there. She's going to be leading the charge for us, and I'm going to be running us through some new things regarding, HTML5 and others. So thanks for doing this with us. Megan, why don't you run us through kind of where things are at today?
Sure thing. Well, happy Friday, guys. We will go ahead and get started. Most of you guys know the following information, but we have some new faces on here, so we will go ahead and just review it. All right, so started development on Adapt in 2012. The first project we did in 2014, which was actually Troy's house. We launched Adapt at CEDIA 2015. We currently have 114 Adapt dealers. We have over 870 deployments throughout the United States, Canada, and Trinidad. And as you know, we have 5 master programmers on staff, and we're a team of 10, and we are here to help you in any way we can. Go ahead and I'm going to pass this over to Troy to give you guys some of the new and upcoming.
Yeah, so obviously we released Adapt 2.0, and with Adapt 2.0 came some energy automation stuff, the 20 driverless sources, updates to the example program, which there have been even more updates to that as well. So thank you guys for sharing what you've seen, that might need to be fixed or changed, and you'll see those updates come through the forum. We've also made core updates, and we've had a few other core updates, which I'm going to talk about one specific one here later on in the slides. List expansions to 100, updated documentation, of course, to match all the additions that we made. And so you can find this, and there has been a little bit of confusion about this, so I want to say it again that you're going to download the whole Adapt suite simply by going to the dealer portal, logging in, and then you actually do have to click on purchase products. That's some confusion for people, but when you click on the purchase products, you'll see that you have an actual link there that you can download the whole Adapt suite. So that's actually where you're going to be able to get that. Now, there's also been a lot of conversation about how to do things with regard to the 1.0 and the 2.0. We got the Joe show coming later. That's going to be helpful to you, but most importantly, I wanted to remind you guys that we're always here to help. Schedule some time with us to discuss a 1.0 to 2.0 switch over, why to do it, when you should do it, those types of things. But I think Joe's going to help us understand some of that. And last but not least, we did have what I would consider to be a bit of a major problem when unintended consequences, right? You do things and then you don't think about how that might affect something, and we entered one of those into the core when we did Adapt 2.0, specifically because of energy automation. And what had happened was we lost the presets, especially with respect to the period. Some people saw that the name was there, but the actual number or channel number was not. And also System Manager was a little strange when you entered this data in. So want to apologize for that flat out, because that's a bigger mistake than we normally make, and kind of an elementary one at time, I guess you could say from your perspective. So sorry about that, but that's obviously been corrected. And you download the new core and you're good to go. So yeah, sorry about that one, guys.
Right. All right, Troy, so I'll let you go over the energy automation update.
Yeah, so some exciting new things coming for energy automation. One thing we have definitely recognized is that all of the different people involved in this, or different contractors, if you will, need this thing to be simplified. And so we're talking about our solar contractors, our electrical contractors, and our home automation Adapt dealers really need this simplified in a different way than before. So what we're doing is we're actually putting together what we call an Adapt EA package. The EA package is going to encompass a built-in power supply, a built-in switch, a built-in UPS, and the base package is going to be something that you're going to be able to mount on the wall. It's DIN rail based. You're going to wire that to relay controlled breakers. So many of you who are kind of tracking what we're doing with energy automation have seen what we've done with the Eaton intelligent breakers. That's pretty amazing stuff. However, one of the things we've learned is that because we have to control the Eaton intelligent breaker through the cloud, it's not fast enough for us yet. Now, we are working with them, and they are making changes, and so some good stuff's coming, but it's going to be a little bit. And the reason why we need this speed of control for breakers is because when that grid loss occurs, we actually have to shut down loads immediately. And we're trying to hit this within a 5-second period. So the Sonnen battery can handle 70 amps for 100 milliseconds only. It can handle 50 amps for 5 seconds. And then its nominal amperage is 33.3 amps. What we're trying to do is create a situation where when grid loss occurs, we're actually going to shut down enough loads to make sure that the battery itself does not see greater than a 50 amp amount of power it's responsible for. This way the inverter doesn't get upset, and, well, the power profile for the home is then correct. So this package is going to handle control of relay controlled breakers. And eventually, as time goes on and we do some more things with Eaton, we'll bring those breakers back into the fold. So that's exciting. This package is going to be implemented in my place, well, as soon as we get it done. We're expecting we'll have it ready sometime in Q1, pushing for January, but it's probably going to be February, I think, before we're going to be ready to ship these to our Adapt dealers and also some of the other contractors. One exciting thing I will bring up about that, I've pitched this to a lot of different people now, solar contractors and electrical contractors and some of the home automation guys. And so far, we're doing the right thing from what I'm hearing. This is really, really what people want. They want a simple, kind of sort of a plug and play thing. It's going to be fantastic. The next webinar that we do, I'm going to go into some great detail about that. So I'll wait until then to share more, but it's exciting what's coming. The other side of this, I guess, with respect to Sonnen and energy automation, is there is a training that we're doing in Texas. It's actually not us putting it on, it's Sonnen that's putting it on, but it's an actual certification training. So for those of you in the Texas, Oklahoma area might be able to make this. It's obviously next week, but this is for certification. So if you ever want to purchase Sonnen battery technology, want to be able to install it, this is going to be the way that you're going to be certified to do so. And then lastly, we want to talk to you guys about GitHub. We are recognizing that a lot of the Adapt dealers want to share things, and our forum's probably not the best place. We also, because we do projects every day with Adapt, have things that we'd like to share with you guys. And so Megan's going to help us out. We're going to put a poll up there. I want to see how many of you guys actually use GitHub or would use GitHub. Megan, can you hit us with our poll?
There we are.
We're really looking forward. Go ahead, Megan. I'm sorry.
I'm just going to say, have you guys utilized GitHub before is the question. And if you looked away from your screen, if you could come back and let us know. We appreciate your opinion.
Yeah, we've recognized GitHub as a good repository for putting code snippets, examples of maybe how we've done Doorbird or how we've done control of different things, and we've done so many of these that I think it makes sense, to do. But I want to hear from you guys about what you think.
And please utilize the questions box for this. We are reading those and taking those into account. So I'm going to go ahead and close this poll. It looks like we got pretty good results here.
Excellent. Okay, that's sort of what I was thinking would be the case. So some of us have, but a lot of us haven't. This would probably be one of the most, let me say that differently, one of the easiest ways to learn GitHub. So I think I think we're still going to move forward with this, even though not a lot of people have used it, but I think it makes sense, and we're here to help. So if you have questions about what GitHub is, how to use it, we're happy to help. But you can also, of course, go read a little bit more about it. So
Troy, we do kind of have a few questions here. Haven't used GitHub before, but would like to understand the benefits and why would the forum not be appropriate for this versus GitHub?
It's a great question. See, the beauty of GitHub and what it really does for all the users is it gives us a method of tracking and management, and also a way to ensure that when we put something up there, there's a master copy of what we put there that cannot be changed, edited, or messed with. And then if somebody were to find something, let's say we put a version 1 of a Doorbird programming example up there, and you guys open it up and grab it and do things, and you go, you know what, it would be really cool if we could like do this one little thing here. I've made this change, I've versioned it up to 1.5. You then put it back up on GitHub in the repository, and we still have the master, but we also have 1.5. And so that's the real reason for the utilization of GitHub, is to have a tracking method so that we can, get these things kind of honed in and where we want them to be. And then maybe what we do in the end is we take somebody's example and we build it in to Adapt as a real thing. We're gonna share more about that as time goes on. This is right now more or less just I wanted to feel you guys out, see what you guys think. So other questions?
And then with that being said and that explanation being there, that brings us to our next question as well. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that. If you looked away, if you could put in what you think.
Yeah, so the idea here, guys, is like I said earlier, we've done so many different programs, and we don't necessarily have the luxury of kind of staying within a wheelhouse of any kind, because we program for integrators that are doing a bunch of different things. And so, yeah, we've got examples of a lot of different things that we've controlled over the years, and we feel like that information could be very, very valuable to you guys. Challenge has always been, how do we do that in a way that is beneficial and helps people, but doesn't create confusion or cause problems for anybody?
All right, looks like we have a couple more votes. I'm going to go ahead and close that up. So it looks like this is the response that we were hoping for here.
I love it, guys. Thank you. It's what I was hoping for. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And that way. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention, I apologize. Very important. Searchable, right? So if you guys want, you go and you just say, I'm looking for Techmar, and you'll be able to find something, if there's something that exists about Techmar, and an example about how we did it, or maybe even how somebody else, another Adapt dealer, did a Techmar implementation. We really think that this is going to help the Adapt community a tremendous amount, and I'm excited to see that everybody said go for it, because I think it's necessary. Beautiful. Thanks. All right, let's move on.
Agreed. We did have one thing regarding the Sonin training and the Crestron systems against ITC for a client at 30% tax credit. This includes EA, lighting, shades, thermostats, etc.
Okay, so here I've learned a little bit more about that. There is obviously a solar tax credit that involves solar installation, and so the idea is, in the year that you install solar, you can obtain a 30% tax credit on your solar. However, if you include the battery as a part of the energy system, if you will, the solar system, you can apply for a tax credit on that battery as well. There are two cases out there that you can read about actually online, and I can send you guys a Megan, would you make a note to send to all the ADAPT dealers this information about the solar tax credit? Because I have this perfectly like written out, and I need to get it out to you guys. But basically, what it's going to explain is the fact that you have to individually apply for it. It's not a guarantee. It's not a given. But there are already cases where people have applied and gotten their battery included with their solar tax credit. Now, along with that, our ADAPT energy automation system, potentially lighting, potentially, if we can prove that these things are all a part of saving money and basically helping the grid, because that's the whole point, is to help the grid and help our utility companies deal with the challenge of demand being put on them. If we can prove that, then there's a good chance that those systems will be a part of that tax credit as well. But right now it is on an individual basis, and I'll provide more information. It's a great question.
All right, great questions. I think that the next slide is what a lot of you guys have been waiting for. So we'll move on to that. So Project Blackbird.
Yes, Project Blackbird, now called CH5 or otherwise known as HTML5. Look, guys, it's incredible. We're blessed to be a part of it. We're thankful to be a part of it. As you can see in the first bullet, we are on a pretty hefty NDA with Crestron, so I'm sorry, but there's just a lot I can't share about it, but there's a lot I can as well. So I may or may not be able to answer some of the questions that you have, but I will certainly try. Just understand that I do have a pretty hefty NDA, so we're going to be real careful and do right by Crestron there. So along with that, right now today we are still in discovery of the frameworks that we're wanting to use, and also some discovery on methodology of interface between, say, Simple Windows and HTML5. There's discussions about which direction to go still. So that'll probably give you an indication, at the very least, of where things are at. Let me just cut to the chase on something, just in case anybody wants to ask the question. If you're asking when, don't, because there's no way I can tell you any of that. Because I don't know. Even if I did, I may not be able to tell you. But the when is up in the air. There's no when information. But here's what I can tell you. I have seen my team put together some really amazing stuff. I've seen things that I've never thought were possible on a Crestron touchscreen physically happen. I've seen a lot of conversation and communication. I've seen us choose a framework direction to spend our time in for right now. Not to say that that's where it's going to end up, but I have seen my team do some awesome stuff, and I see some other things that have been things that we've wanted for a long time happening. So I'm super excited. I am, again, like I said, we're just blessed to be a part of it. But yeah, we're pumped. It's going to be amazing. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys are trying to figure out, like, well, what do I do? Like, what can I do? How can I figure out, what's happening, and so on and so forth. You see, I put a couple of things up there. Node.js, that A stands for Angular. It's a good idea today, in my opinion, to start to learn not necessarily the frameworks that are available for development of HTML5, but what I want our ADAPT dealers to look at is what a CSS style sheet is. What does it do? Because I believe that that the adapt dealers, especially with respect to the tools that we create and what we put together, the adapt dealers are going to be using that methodology to differentiate themselves from the other dealers out there. Essentially what a style sheet is, well, it's sort of exactly what it says. It's rules and things that will change relative to what you have in this style sheet. So say you want to change the whole button color scheme. That would be in a style sheet, and you would say, I want to go from blue to green. And that could change the whole thing. It could change all the elements of an HTML5 page or application. So CSS style sheets are a good thing to learn, and then learn the basics of HTML even. We're talking about HTML5 here, but if you don't know the basics of HTML, then HTML5 doesn't even make sense to try and understand. So learning the basics of HTML is a good idea, and then you can kind of step your way into what HTML5 really is. And I think what we're going to really do for you guys is keep you guys up to date as best we can on where things are at, on what's going on. A lot more information will be available in our next webinar. And I'm not trying to string you. I just know for a fact that this is moving quickly. There are decisions being made. Things are getting exciting. So we're expecting that our next webinar we can do a lot more for you with respect to HTML5. But in the interim, and some of you may have seen this, I don't know, we're going to show you some ideas, some concepts. These are actually things we worked on back in, I think it was July of 2017, and maybe it's maybe a direction that we go, but I want to also call out one specific thing about what you're about to see. So Megan, can you flip over to our concept there?
Yeah, we have a tough crowd. No comments on that?
Yeah, I was expecting to get blasted. Like, really, Charlie? You can't give me anything? Nothing? Why I led with the NDA, sorry, but...
Were you awake out there? All right, well, here goes.
Flip over to the concept image. So,
Jeff's, the preface shut us all down. Can you see us now?
What did he say?
Said it shut everyone down. Are you guys still there?
Do you see attendees in the list?
Yeah. Let's see. Okay.
Can a few of my guys confirm whether you can see here, or did this thing just totally fall apart?
No, I think we're good. Chris said you jerk. Just kidding. You asked for it. They're here. Is this Joe's crib?
Yeah, this is Joe's crib. This is what an adapt programmer can do. I mean, we're talking. No, that's not his house, but it is something that he put together. And so what you're going to see here is just very simple, clean line. I'm not advocating that the image of a room be the background image. I actually think it's sort of a bad idea, but this next slide you see, it starts to change my mind about it. And these things are not possible with our current, application tools or whatever, VT Pro and things. You're not going to be able to do this. Flip us to the next one, Megan. So what you're going to see here is the selection of a drop down. Now notice the blur. You're not accomplishing a blur like that with VT Pro and Smart Graphics and so on and so forth. And one of the reasons why I don't like the whole picture of a room being the background, or maybe you guys have even seen or had customers ask for, oh, it'd be cool if we could have our family portrait back. It gets really busy, and then the buttons get completely lost. And there are ways that you can diffuse and whatever, but this blur here is an actual blur to the image. That is something HTML5 can accomplish, which is super, super cool. Go ahead and flip to the next one, Megan, because it just gives you a little bit more And this would be a tiered or tabbed kind of approach to things. But I think you guys get the idea that this could be something that we end up with. And I think we have one more concept as well. It's just an addition, maybe.
No, we just had those three.
That's just those three. Okay, great. Well, I don't know. Anybody want to tell us how they feel about what they just saw?
Did we get shut out again? I had a bunch of comments come through at one time, so we'll give it just a second. Chris says, pretty nice. He takes back what he said about you being a jerk.
Thank you. And again, guys, this is just an idea. It's one idea. We've had many. But the reason why I kind of chose this was because I wanted to show you guys possibilities of things. And really that blur is kind of cool, in my opinion, because it's something we can't do today that we may be able to do in the future. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and move on.
Russell says, looks great. I keep getting asked to duplicate things that Savant is.
Right, Russell, right. Look, it's no secret that Savant put together a pretty nice user interface experience. They've done a good job. I don't know that we're going to try and ever recreate what they did, but at the end of the day, there's a reason why you can't patent a user interface experience like that, and it's because, well, you can figure it out. I mean, what's right for one end user is definitely right for another when you get it right. So, and talk to Apple about that one, I guess. So,
you guys are killing me. I'm sitting over here laughing. Chris says Savant is nice until you actually use it.
Fair enough. So, you know what? This is probably a good time to just kind of open up to you guys a little bit on some stuff. So as you can see, Megan and I aren't in the same place right now. Normally we are. I'm actually going through we decided not to decorate for Christmas this year. We decided to renovate. May I suggest, don't do that. It sucks. Anyway, so I'm at home because I've got contractors like crazy running around, and I'm doing this from a room outside of the house, actually. We have a back room or whatever, and so that's why we're not in the same place. So apologize for that, but at the same time, I can't see any of your questions, and I can't see really what's going on because I'm a panelist on this, so it's that's different. Any other questions about things?
Yeah, Chris, I'm not going to say that out loud. All right, so this is another moment that you all have been waiting for to happen again. So what we're going to
ask for it
is load here. The Joe Show is back. So I am going to hand this over to Joe. And Troy and I will be back when he is done.
Okay, thank you, Megan. Appreciate that. Let me get my screen shared here. I have some really cool stuff to show you guys today. Let me get that going. All right, so hopefully you guys can see my screen. Thanks for being with us today. So here are a couple of things I wanted to talk about today. One of the things that's been brought up a lot since we released ADAPT 2.0 is how do we update to ADAPT 2.0? I have an older program that's been in service for some time, and I just kind of want to bring it up to date. The first thing I would say to that is my first bullet point here: if it ain't broke, don't update it. And this is just to say that a lot of the updates that we've done in ADAPT 2.0 are kind of under the hood, tightening things up, not necessarily any groundbreaking feature additions or anything like that. So unless there's a really convincing reason to update your system, don't worry about updating it. It's really as simple as that. But if you want to, maybe there is something that we've released that you do want to take advantage of. Most devices are really easy to update to our ADAPT 2.0, except touch panels. Be careful with those, and I'll talk about that right here. So if we look, what I have open right here is actually our previous example program before our ADAPT 2.0. Notice how a bunch of these modules are still our 1.0 modules. And what I kind of want to show you is, let's say I was having an issue with this other device module and I wanted to bring this up to date just so I could say everything is totally up to date. All I need to do, you can see I have my ADAPT 2.0 module library here on the left. I can just drag in this 2.0 module, and because a lot of these signals are identically named, all I need to do is just right click my existing 1.0 adapt module, drag it onto my new one. I have this copy all signals function here. And because, like I said, a lot of these signal names are exactly the same, that module will directly copy over. Now I can either comment out that old module, delete it, whatever I want to do. But that's how I've now updated an older adapt module to a new one. This same process works identically with most adapt modules in your program, whether it's one of your AV devices or one of your subsystems or a room module or even one of the boot up modules. The interfaces or touch panels specifically are a little bit exempt from this super easy kind of update. When you are doing a touch panel, just keep in mind that we have updated join numbers. So we try not to update join numbers too frequently, but in the case of our ADAPT 2.0 transition and that list expansion, we're expanding our list out to 100 items. That did require us to move some join numbers around. And so when you are updating a touch panel module, it's important that you not only make sure that you have all your smart graphics connected from your ADAPT module. All of our signal groups here are the smart graphics, making sure that those are connected appropriately. And then also you have the import logic that will get you your standard joins. And that'll make sure that you have everything you need updated in your touch panel module. And of course, you'll want to update your VT Pro as well with our new touch panel templates to accommodate those updated join numbers. Okay. And so that's my first point here is updating to ADAPT 2.0. If it ain't broke, don't update it. But if you want to, it's easy. All right. Second thing I wanted to just remind everybody, it's something that kind of exists out there right now, is our ADAPT command strings spreadsheet. This spreadsheet is what I use on every single job that I program. I don't know what I would do without this. If you tell me that you have a Sony TV and you want to control it over 232 or IP, all I need to do is look at this spreadsheet, find my commands, punch those into the command strings portion of System Manager for that display, and now I'm controlling that display however I want. Of course, if I'm doing IP, maybe I need that IP client symbol in my program. But you know what, maybe then that same client who was controlling a Sony 232 is now doing a Samsung 232. Well, I have all these strings right here. I can easily copy paste those in. And as a reminder, this spreadsheet is publicly available. We encourage you guys to use this spreadsheet. You can find a link to this on our forum right here for the devices that require special kind of volume modules. Perhaps they're not compatible with System Manager for whatever reason. We've also included those modules for you directly linked from this spreadsheet. You can download them and put them into your program straight away. It's just another reminder there. Another hot topic that we've been asked to talk about is optimizing our processor's performance. 3 Series has been out for quite some time now, right? I think the MC3 was released, almost about 10 years ago at this point. And obviously the CPUs have not really evolved since that. And so a lot of the things that we want to do these days, we're making sure that we're taking advantage of all of the power that these Crestron processors have, and being smart about how we're doing that. And so when I deploy a processor to a job site, there are 2 things that I do on every single brand new processor. I guess maybe 3 if you want to start with a real basic one, and that's an initialize restore. I always recommend you do this, even if it's on a brand new processor straight out of the box. You'd be surprised that some of these processors, come loaded with already on them. So make sure initialize, restore, and of course firmware. I mean, that's a given, right? That's the first thing that you should be doing on your processors. But then there's a couple other things that I think can really help improve the performance of your processor. One of them, these are all console commands, by the way. So this first one is this enable feature cloud client off. And what this does is, if you've ever used Crestron's dynamic DNS service, this is one small portion of what Crestron would call their cloud client. And so by disabling this cloud client, you're actually disabling a lot of stuff that's just constantly running in the background of your processor. You may not even know that it's running. Like I said, one small component is Crestron's dynamic DNS feature, but disabling this feature noticeably improves the performance of your processor. And so this is something I definitely encourage you to do. I will show you right now. I've got a processor pulled up console right here. I will show you that there is actually another feature that is on here that comes disabled out of the box. This guy is actually disabled, right out of the factory. But I have disabled my cloud client here with this console command. The next one is a little bit newer, and you only find this on firmware released in 2018, but it's Hydrogen. Hydrogen is, well, it's actually kind of hard to see exactly what Hydrogen is. There's not really a whole lot of documentation on what it is. We think that it is XIO cloud related, so related to Crestron's kind of cloud functionality and initiative. But like I said, there's no real documentation as to what this actually gives us. However, if you've probably looked in your error logs, I of course have a bunch of stuff going on, but even when this thing is disabled, I don't see any right here, but you will notice that Hydrogen can still throw errors in your error log. And again, this will noticeably improve the performance of your processor, disabling this option here. Maybe in the future there will be a real use for this. Maybe you guys have already discovered a real use for this, but in our opinion, at least right now, it's probably unapplicable to residential environments. All right, and then last note on optimizing processor performance is we really want you guys to start thinking about utilizing secondary processors and program slots. And so this really comes down to the core issue of processor overhead. Comes from the processor needing to parse raw serial, I put serial here, but this could really be serial or IP data into usable signals in our program, right? So think about your security system, that's your alarm system in your house. That 232 communication is just blasting your processor pretty consistently, and it's your processor's job to parse that raw stream of 232 information. Oh, and by the way, it's also that same processor's job to get all your button presses and make sure that you can listen to music and all this other stuff at the same time. And so it's important to think about separating that out, and you can isolate this processor overhead caused by, say, an alarm panel by putting that security program onto a second processor altogether. And I want to be clear here, we do want you to think about a secondary processor altogether. Even something like an RMC3 is perfectly suitable for this, but that will minimize the impact of your core processor. Hopefully it's your adapt system in this case. And then these last two notes are kind of something that Troy had touched on before. We're talking about our GitHub kind of initiatives, if you will. But if you can kind of keep record of your secondary programs, say your security programs, your pool programs, whatever the case may be, our goal is that we can leverage our adapt community, pull all this library of secondary programs together, and now it becomes really easy for other adapt dealers to snap in these devices that have already been programmed by somebody else and tested, known, working with adapt even, and then hopefully be able to share that on some sort of central repository so that everybody can access it. One trick that I use to further this, my own kind of record keeping and my own ease of using these secondary programs, is I actually keep adapt modules in my secondary programs. you should hopefully know by now that adapt modules cannot typically live in a secondary program, right? Adapt is designed such that all your adapt modules are inside a single program. But in this case, I am actually advocating that you keep your adapt modules in your secondary programs for convenience. And I'll show you this right now. Here, I've got a security program I made for a client the other day. This is a, what is this? Honeywell Vista. I'm sure you guys have all used this module set plenty of times. This is a secondary program I've made specifically to integrate with an adapt system. And you can see what I have, or by the very fact that I have this adapt module in this program commented out, that means that I can then copy this module from this secondary security program. And when I'm ready to tie this into my main program, I just copy and paste it into this adapt program over here. This module can now hook into our EIC, which is going to be over here. Pull this over so you guys can see. So again, all I have set up is this EIC that I could, of course, export so that I could import all these signals into my main adapt program. But the idea here being, if I'm on a job and I know that it's got a Honeywell Vista Turbo security panel and I'm using these modules, I already have that program done. I can copy and paste the adapt module from my secondary program into my main program, tie my EIC together, and I'm done. It takes me a matter of seconds. Of course, the other portion to this would be touch panels, but hopefully, touch panels should be relatively simple, straightforward, and we hope to also be providing touch panel pages at some point too. Let's see, the last thing on my list here is our touch panel loader. So this is a utility that I have built, and we're hoping that it will help save you guys some time. We're all about saving you guys time, right? One of the things that's still a little bit of a tedious process, at least I've noticed, one of the more tedious processes when I'm actually on site is loading touch panels, right? iPads and iPhones load really nice and easily. We totally recommend that you use FileZilla to load your iPads and iPhones. It takes about 2 seconds to do that. But TSW panels is still a little difficult to do. In the past, you've had to, or at least what we've recommended is FileZilla, moving your VTZ. You can see I've got a VTZ right here into that display folder on your panel and then running the project load command. That's still Crestron's recommended procedure for loading touch panel files. What I've done is I wanted to make that a little bit easier. And so I made this little application, call it Touch Panel Updater for right now. And all that this guy does is it utilizes Crestron's device discovery magic packet, if you will, to send out a magic packet on my network, discover all the types of touch panels that I have. Here I only have, I should say I have 4 touch panel types. And then I have one 1542, and it's prompting me to select the file that I want to send to this 1542. For right now, I'm just going to use this 1060 VTZ, and that's okay. And what's going to happen is it's going to immediately start transferring this VTZ to my 1542 and actually load it immediately when it's done. So I'll go ahead and do that. These other ones, I'm not going to worry about loading these right now. You can actually see it actually already transferred my VTZ and sent the project load. I'm looking over at my panel over there, and it is actually loading. And so that takes about 2 seconds, less than 2 seconds for that to happen. And I can kind of cancel through the rest of these to kind of skip it. But at the end of this, the goal is that it's just going to scan your network for all your touch panel types. If you've got 10 1060s, it's going to ask you to send one file to all of those 1060s, and it'll do it, lickety split. And then it'll move you on to the next type. Maybe you've got some 760s as well. It'll prompt you for the 760s and send the selected file out to all of those. So this is a really nice utility. It saved me tons of time already. So we are going to put this out there for you guys to utilize as well. We're going to get this on our forum, and this will be a tool that we want you guys to kind of help us test, and hopefully it'll save you guys some time as well. With that, that is all I have, unless there are, I guess, anything specifically for me here, Megan. That is all I've got.
All right, so we do have a few questions here. So are you still recommending to stay with the last 2017 FW?
Firmware, yeah. So The last firmware from 2017 is one that we can confirm is still, the most stable of Crestron firmwares that we've had experience with lately. If you do run into an issue, call it a Crestron related issue, Crestron will always recommend that you do update firmware, and you should do that if that's what they're asking you to do. Always listen to Crestron's recommendations as far as firmware updates go, but certainly we can assure you that we have pretty good faith in the 2017 firmware.
All right. Comment modules and secondary programs for copy and paste. Very clever. Thank you. And then one more question. With the touch panel updater, what do you do when your remote and DD doesn't work?
Sorry, I didn't catch that last part.
With touch panel updater, what do you do when you're done, or sorry, when your remote and DD does not work? Device discovery does not work. Thank you.
Yeah, so certainly this is all based on device discovery, right? I was going to show you here. So if you run Toolbox device discovery, this functions in exactly the same way. I actually just sniffed out the packet that Toolbox sends and imported that into my little program here. So whatever shows up in discovery is what is possible to be updated via our touch panel updater tool. You can see even our TSR 310s, which has been sitting on a table over there for probably the last week or so, they still show up on discovery here, and so you can in fact load to your TSR 310s even if they're on their docked away somewhere else.
If your remote and device discovery does not work, or do you have a secret? What that means?
Yeah, like I said, the updater exactly emulates the device discovery, magic packet, if you will. For any devices that don't respond to discovery, definitely still the recommended procedure is to use FileZilla, connect up to your touch panel, dump your VTZ into this folder here, and run your project load. I suppose, yeah, if you have some 302s, the 302s do not always appear in discovery, and so sure, if you wanted to keep all those guys awake, your 302s, certainly you could use this for your 302s. I know that there's also some commands that you can send to keep those guys connected to the network even when the 302s go to sleep.
Right. It looks like we have about 12 minutes left, so I'm going to go through these last ones pretty quickly. It looks like we have a comment. I use Toolbox scripts when on a VPN. Awesome. And the touch panel updater, you said that was being posted to the forum?
Yep, we will get this on the forum. I have an update coming for it that I want to get in there before I post it. But yeah, we're ready to get this out to you. Yeah, certainly if you're on a VPN or some other remote connection, that device discovery is not going to work. In fact, how I started this tool was to take a list of IP addresses and send a project file to a list of IP addresses. And so that architecture is already there as well, something that can easily be added to this tool.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Joe. I hope that was helpful for you guys. And hopefully we'll make this a regular segment.
Yes, thank you for having me, Megan. I appreciate you. And guys, let me know if there's any other questions. Like Troy said before, definitely get some time scheduled with us. We want to make sure that you guys are, staying up to date. Have we mentioned Adapt University? Is that coming up maybe in a slide?
Spoiler alert.
Oh, dang it. Well, let me, or why don't you take the screen back here? I'll let you get into that. But yeah, definitely, guys, check out our Adapt University channel. That's where all of our training is going to be hosted on these days. If you're not already tired of hearing my voice, hopefully another 4 hours of it or so won't discourage you so much. But that's everything you need to get going with Adapt is on our Adapt University channel. Let us know what else we can do to help you guys out.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
All right, so like I said, we have 10 minutes left. We want to make sure we get to all of your questions. As Joe mentioned, I guess we'll go a little bit out of order here. Adapt University is great. Hopefully you guys have been getting my emails regarding that. If so, I'm sure you're tired of them. If not, please let me know and I will get that over to you so you can take a look at it. And then also our new website's now live. So we have added energy automation, some helpful documents, updated, adapt information and all that good stuff. So let us know what you guys think about that as well.
And one small change actually to things, I guess, is we were using pdadapt.com, so we kind of had separated the Pantech Design website and the Adapt website. Those have now been brought all back into the fold, and now you're going to go to pantechdesign.com to get to your Adapt information, your dealer portal, all of those types of things. So that I think I'm going to probably do away with the PD Adapt, but I think it might be there still. I can't remember. I don't use it. But if you have a saved link or something, you may want to just update it. That'll help you. And also on the Adapt University thing, I want to remind you guys that, I fully expect your businesses are growing. I fully expect that you guys are hiring new people. This is a great way to sit a guy down at the table and say, okay, go watch this stuff, and you'll learn more about Adapt. And so we felt like that was a great thing to do for you guys, not only for refresher, but also for bringing new people in to your businesses and getting them trained and up to speed.
And I believe it's 9 different videos, so it's more broken down, and you can use it as a reference as well, and kind of go directly to where you need to go or anything of that sort. So. Right. So then, as always, we love your testimonials. Feel free to send those our way. All you have to do is, send it in an email, and we'll take care of the rest. Please let your Crestron RSMs know, how Adapt's helping you out and how great Adapt is and our team is. We always appreciate that. Don't forget about our dealer referral program. So 3 easy steps: you bring us a dealer, we sign them up, and then you get a free key.
I want to take a second, Megan. I want to throw a special shout out, not in name, but at least in a thank you to. There's some specific dealers that have really done well for us. They've asked to be referrals. We always have, look, I'm a sales guy, right? I talk to these, new dealers, and I show them stuff, and they get excited and they see it. And of course, I'm just a sales guy, right? And so I'm trying to sell them on Adapt. Well, it sounds a lot better coming from you guys. It really does. And there's a couple of them that a couple of you guys that have really done well for us. So I want to thank you. You know who you are. It's been much appreciated. It's, man, we need you guys for that. And if we're going to continue to grow this, and we're going to continue to innovate, and we're going to continue to have the resources and the bandwidth necessary to further the goal of Adapt, those are the kind of things that we really need. One other thing I did want to mention that's kind of exciting is that if you go to Crestron.com and you go to their partners page and you click on, I don't know, projectors, and you'll see, the projector manufacturers. There's a few of them, and you'll see Microsoft's Partner of the Year and all this great stuff. Well, if you go to software, there's only one company you're going to see there, and that's a pretty special thing for us. It's Pantech Design and the Adapt software. So it's because of you guys and sharing it with your RSMs and specifically Clancy and their teams, recognizing that Adapt has helped sell a lot of Crestron and help people deploy successful and reliable systems out there. So that happened because of you, and I wanted to thank you guys for that as well, because we wouldn't be able to do that without you. So that's a pretty special thing. So
Tried to pull it up there.
Yeah, thanks, Megan. I know I threw that in there at the end. We didn't actually talk about that one. But, that's all I had. I wanted to just say thank you.
Yes, and Joe did want me to mention that we are also adding to our Adapt University page. So make sure you subscribe to our Adapt University channel, which is different than our Pantech Design channel. So you can get the latest tips and tricks and a little bit of Joe show aside from Adapt Chat. So, all right. Looks like we have about 5 minutes for questions if you guys want to throw those at us. Questions, comments, what you'd like to see on the next Adapt Chat, anything like that. This is our last Adapt Chat of 2018. Crazy how fast the year's flown by.
No doubt.
Got nothing, guys?
I'm okay with that. It means we did our job well enough, and we've taken up enough of your time. We definitely recognize the value of your time and appreciate you spending it with us. We're thankful again for what you guys do to help us, and we hope you guys continue with us on our Adapt journey here. So with that, we're going to sign off with our last Adapt Chat of the year, and wish you guys a wonderful holiday season. And enjoy it. And thankfully, because you're Adapt dealers, you have the time to. So have a great holiday season. We'll see you guys next time.
Happy holidays, guys. Thank you.